Should rodeo athletes hire a coach? The short answer is, it depends. I bet you didn't expect that answer coming from a multiple-time world champion powerlifter with hundreds of world, national, state, and military records, who is a high-performance coach specializing in strength and conditioning, sports nutrition and psychology, and brain health training. Okay, I realize the majority of you do not watch more than the first minute or two of YouTube videos. So I'm going to throw a couple things out there right now that could dramatically change the rest of your life. First, let's look at some interesting facts about the current growth and trends of rodeo. The prize money and fans are going up. Hopefully, it'll stay ahead of cornhole, pickleball, and this year's new Olympic sport, breakdancing. Rodeo athletes, especially rookies, are setting season's earnings records. But as I mentioned in my episode on athlete salaries, the highest paid rodeo athletes are way behind the starting salaries in other sports, plus they have to pay for the majority of their own expenses. Thankfully, rodeo-related injuries are a thing of the past, as after looking at numerous top 10 lists of sports with the most injuries, including ones on contact and extreme sports, rodeo is not included. And with PBR teams and Kid Rock's Rock and Rodeo team event gaining popularity, maybe top rodeo athletes will finally be able to take advantage of what other highly paid sports figures have been enjoying, including but not limited to higher salaries and less expenses out of pocket, more time at home with loved ones, large support networks, actual on and off seasons allowing for greater and more consistent performances, reduced injuries, and more exposure due to the relationship of the teams, their coaches, and with the PBR teams, the cities they represent. And who knows, maybe the process of going from high school to the collegiate to the professional ranks will finally mimic other popular and highly prolific sports. Second, although this episode is not sponsored, I want to promote one of my first and favorite YouTubers I subscribe to, Matt Davila. Why? For one thing, he has almost 4 million subscribers, which is probably more than all the English-speaking rodeo channels combined. Trust me, I've checked. Next, he is incredibly talented, and despite not being a popular sports figure, coach, or fitness influencer, he has recently put together 2 of the most incredibly informational videos on athletic training and performance I have ever seen. Seriously, if you do not check out his 2 recent videos, which I have linked to in the description, you are leaving tremendous performance improvements on the table. The first one I'll list already has more than 1 million views. Although I had not seen the most recent one until a few minutes ago, I always watch informational and educational videos while doing my cardio, the 9 biggest lessons he learned while successfully training for his first powerlifting meet are invaluable for rodeo or any sport. Coincidentally, I discussed his first idea in my last video and focus on his second lesson in this episode. So let's get to it. Well, right after you like and subscribe to Matt's and my channels. Yes, I'm sure you scrolled down and checked out his video, but hopefully you came back here. In my video, Success Leaves Clues, I mentioned starting my first real coaching business, Gold Medal Sports, back in 1992. I actually coached my first athlete a dozen years earlier, a bodybuilder who placed in the top 10 at the very prestigious Mr. Washington contest in 1980, who went on to squat almost 700 pounds in the 181-pound weight class. Anyhow, after researching and studying elite athletic performance and competing in a dozen sports myself, including rodeo and showing horses at the Junior World Championships multiple times, my coaching philosophy was to watch an athlete's performance, compare it to similar elite athletes in their event or sport, and then develop a mental, physical, and nutritional plan to help them achieve their goal. 30 to 40 years ago, not having the internet was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, my research was limited to going to the community college library where my mom worked and reading textbooks or academic journals. Also, watching elite athletes perform was limited to viewing Wide World of Sports on TV Saturday afternoons or the occasional VHS or Super 8 videotape, which I still own. On the other hand, I didn't have to deal with the overwhelming BS of social media, uneducated influencers, and constant distractions. And coincidentally, Although I had already written this script before watching Matt's video, his lesson number 5 is stay off social media. The availability of peer-reviewed research and videos of elite athletic performances is definitely a plus these days, but at what cost? And let's not overlook all the apps and recent AI developments that can literally make strength and conditioning, nutrition, and mental game plans obsolete. Seriously, anybody with a smartphone has an incredible amount of information at their fingertips. However, it takes a heck of a lot more than just information to become a world champion. Not only that, but the overwhelming trend is to not use this amazing resource for personal development, but for entertainment instead. So why hire a personal trainer, nutritionist, or mental coach? Because, and I've mentioned this numerous times in my books and videos, you absolutely have to ask yourself the right questions that will allow you to continually accumulate marginal gains in your performance over time that will result in ultimately achieving your SMART goals. However, despite all the free information and resources available, including my own 10 questions to ask myself everyday checklist on my website, sometimes you need somebody else to determine what you don't know, and ask those questions of you. A couple of big questions every potential world champion needs to answer are, how much are you willing to invest in your training, and who will you go with? Yes, there's lots of free information out there, but you get what you pay for. One of my favorite sayings is, if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. If you want to invest $10 to $20 a month for a training app from somebody with a short list of credentials, then you're probably going to make minimal, if any, gains. Just as with any investment, you should look at shooting for a minimal of a 10x return on your investment. For example, let's say you spent $20 a month for a generic training app and raised your season earnings in your event by around $2,500. Would that make a difference? It might. I've seen lots of cases where less than $1,000 meant the difference between qualifying for the WNFR or other elite events or watching from the stands. Meanwhile, let's say you invested $2,500 in Champion Living Fitness's Optimal Performance Academy and got a 10x return on investment. I'm pretty sure $25,000 will make a big difference in your seasonal earnings and move you up in the standings. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my short video on the best rodeo investment ever on my channel, which I'll link to in the description. Last year, after being forced to take 2 years off competing in powerlifting due to a couple of shoulder surgeries, I came back and set 11 world and 13 national records in one meet. Therefore, this year, I've decided to take another step back and work on my cardio, but have set a goal to place in the top 10 at the World Indoor Rowing Championships in February 2025. Yes, quite a bit different than rodeo or powerlifting, but I have completed more than 2 million meters rowing indoors. Anyhow, where am I going with this? I was watching some YouTube videos and checking out some online rowing coaches and came across a guy from Europe who has numerous training programs for various levels of experience. His basic program, a 6-week personalized plan, email support, and one-time video analysis, costs about $120 a month and doesn't include a $200 initial assessment. You also have to commit to at least 4 months. On the other hand, his top-of-the-line coaching program, which is a full-blown one-on-one personalized plan with virtually unlimited contact, will run you $12,000 per month and doesn't include a $500 initial assessment. Now then, aside from a potential windfall, just kidding, for winning an Olympic gold medal, there's not that much money in rowing, especially the non-Olympic indoor rowing version. On the other hand, it's a lot more than in my sport of powerlifting. I'll leave a very informative article in the description below about how much money Olympic athletes make, or should I say don't make. And I don't think 90% of them could afford around $145,000 per year being coached by the guy I just mentioned. But if you got a 10x return on investment on that training investment, would that make a difference? I mean, 1.45 million? Before I move on to the conclusion, let me just say that yes, I totally realize that the sport of rodeo is more unique than just about every other athletic pursuit in the world, and that because of its deep-rooted traditions and the addition of at least one animal to contend with, following in the footsteps of the majority of other sports, especially with respect to hiring a support network of physical and mental training coaches, nutritionists, financial planners, chefs, drivers, physical therapists, athletic trainers, sleep and stress reduction experts, and others, is unnecessary. However, why would any institution, college or professional, pay such enormous amounts of money and perks to their coaches? If they didn't provide a high return on investment, then why not just get the information from the internet? After all, aren't computers, especially with today's AI, smarter than us humans? And more importantly, since they don't have emotions and feelings, wouldn't they make better decisions? Seriously, ChatGPT-4 and other AI programs are highly advanced, and considering they rely on practically all the information available on the internet, then why don't the top college and professional teams and individuals use them to design training plans, strategy, lineups, logistics, etc.? Have you ever seen the 2011 movie Moneyball? Yes, that was more than a dozen years ago, about 10 years before AI really became mainstream. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, now you probably think all of us online coaches use AI to develop personal training and nutrition plans, right? Well, speaking for myself, I don't. But I do use it as a hyped up research tool and developing outlines for some of my articles and videos. For example, I wanted to understand what Socrates meant in his quote, "An unexamined life is not worth living," as I'll be producing a video on how it applies to high performance in the future. And bam, just like that, I got my answer. In conclusion, do you really need a coach or coaches to achieve your SMART goals and succeed in rodeo? I highly recommend you consider it. However, success beyond the arena also means being mentally and physically fit for whatever life throws at you now and in 50, 70, or more years down the road. I'll be covering that topic in an upcoming episode. But for now, let me leave you with another one of my favorite quotes. If you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always got. Or to put it another way, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So quit driving yourself crazy. And if you haven't done so already, please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.